How does he know that? Does he come out
if I'm going to die...
No, he said before he died, he said that.
No, but he said that in the 70s. So some people say things like Margaret was always praying not to die in her sleep, and she died in her sleep. Yeah.
Okay, no, we're live.
Yeah.
Okay, folks, I just a little bit of a Heath Robinson sort of setup today because we're just using a simple iPhone to sort of broadcast, just a bit of fun. This is a behind the scenes for patrons only on the patrons website, so only the patrons can see this one, and one or two people on Facebook too have been allowed on. So we'll be taking some of your questions. There won't be many of you, I don't think, because it's not on the live show. We're just going to have a chat between ourselves. So
yeah.
We got with us Ahiranta and Ozay. I can never get your name right.
No.
And yeah, we're just going to have a chat.
Just think of all your views there.
Yeah, and if anybody's got any questions, bring them up and I'll be able to sort of feed them to our audience.
Yeah.
So we've got someone from India already saying namaste from...
Hello,
so this is
welcome.
Chandani. So any questions, guys? You want to sort of set us up on our chat?
Yeah,
Just post
we
them
were
up.
just talking about that some people know how they're going to die without knowing that they know how they're going to die. Like my dad said, the best way to die is while having sex. And he said that 2 decades before he actually...
So it's a very quick passing then.
No! And your sister, what did she say?
My sister said she used to pray like every night before we went to bed that she didn't die in her sleep. And like that scared me. I didn't like you could die in your sleep. I was only a kid. And then she died in her sleep.
4 decades later.
I had a friend who knew when we were teenagers. He said, "I know I'm going to die young, Craig." Did he always say that? And he did.
And Mark
He
Bolan
died
said
young,
that?
yeah.
Mark Bolan,
Yes.
Yeah, a lot of famous people haven't they?
So-
Their
There's
time.
an interview with him in there, Matt Bolan on
We've got another big hello from North London, from Nicole.
Hello.
Hi there. If you've got any questions, guys, just feed them in because we haven't got a big audience today. This is just a sort of little quiet one.
Yeah.
We're having just a sort of bit of a fun sort of chat in the background. So
We have been
put your
working
questions.
today, isn't it?
Yeah,
for,
it's wrong time.
the foundation, isn't it? So
Yeah, well, this is sort of a break for us, isn't it, after we've been filming all day.
Yeah.
And I hope you can hear us too, because the sound might be a bit funny.
you could ask them. Could you let us know?
Let us know.
How the sound
Is the
is.
sound okay? Because we're not sure, because we haven't got mics on today. So hopefully it's okay. Diane's coming in from the USA. Just want to check, guys, can you hear us? Because we're doing it with a simple setup today without all the full kit.
Otherwise, Craig could do sign language.
Oh, I'm planning to learn it actually.
Can you hear us?
Yeah, we should all learn sign language, don't we?
Yeah.
Sound is okay.
Oh,
Fantastic.
good.
Because, you know, it's a new little setup. We're just trying
Thank you.
a simple one. Just having a chat.
Yeah.
So if you've got any questions, just ask us some questions. You gorgeous lot, says Rachel.
Yes.
No,
Oh,
yeah.
you know it,
Yeah.
don't we?
Yeah.
We
Even
know it.
including
agree
me.
with that.
Everybody in England looks like
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
Even the aliens.
Laura's saying hi. We haven't got a screen in front of us, so I'm going to tell people what's there.
Yeah. Hello, Laura.
Diane said it's perfect, the sound.
Good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And yes, we can hear you. So thanks, guys.
Can you
Let
hear
us
me?
know. Any questions you got? Just let us know.
Yeah.
We're going to have a chat amongst, or just set us a theme and we'll talk about
Well, I
it.
think it's
Yeah.
interesting how you started, Bianca, because you're saying people worried how they die,
Yeah.
and what Phil said, and I think that's very true. I think that people do worry how they're going to die.
But unknowingly, they make remarks, and then later,
No.
decades later, that's actually how they die. So the question is our death predetermined?
Yes.
Or does our fear or wish, in the case of my father, do we make it come true?
Yes.
So that's the question, isn't it?
Yes.
Do we already take this life and choosing how to die
Yes.
because of that lesson, or is our fear or wish, desire, creating our death?
Yes.
So my dad died during sex. That's not the best, not the worst way of dying, I think.
Perhaps he was a woman in a past life and it reversed itself.
Yeah. I don't think he had female
No,
traits,
in past
but yeah.
life.
Yeah.
I think there is kind of a set time for death, but it can be moved. So I always talk about the destiny of the future is always like it's set like a map. I mean, you and me were talking about it a little bit earlier on, Phil.
Yeah.
Ozay. We see a map ahead, and we can move across that map, and that's our free will. And I think even the time of death is somehow determined by that. It's like the point gets pushed a little bit further. I only say that because of things like the nadis, when they say you've done all these remedies, and then next time you consult it, you find that your time of death is moved. And perhaps you can even move it forward to yourself too by other types of actions, you know. So I don't think it's set, but it's kind of a marker that we can perhaps find. Got a few questions coming here from people. Is Harry heartbroken? My heart, R.E. seeing the Queen. Love to you all.
Oh, bless.
I'm sure he is. It's been very difficult, isn't it? Very difficult for the Queen, actually, because they're all her children and grandchildren. And I thought she has such dignity yesterday when there was celebration of the Duke of Edinburgh, and they had a memorial service. And when they'd done a close shot of her, she had tears in her eyes.
Yeah.
And her mobility is becoming very frail now.
She's going fast backwards since
Yes.
her beloved husband died. And I think the Queen might be not as sad as most people think about Harry leaving. I think she might have gained some understanding why,
Yes.
after seeing what happened to Diana
Yes.
with Prince Charles. And I think Harry seeing his mom suffer
Yes.
with her mental health, and she and Charles got a rocky area in their relationship. And I think Harry wanted to protect Meghan. Meghan didn't fit in. She's an American, very independent woman. And I think the establishment has such a sad way of going about things. And he chose to take her away from that. He wanted to be a happy family. And I think he did the right thing.
Yes.
Many people think bad about him because of it. I must say a bit biased. He's my favorite. But I think the Queen has so many other loving family members
Yes.
around her. I don't think for her it made a big impact.
I think when actually Kate and William becomes king, he's going to be more modern in the
Yes,
monarchy.
definitely.
And he'll get rid of the hanger-oners, shall we say.
Definitely. I think his mom's influence will
Yes.
determine the king he will become.
Yeah,
Definitely.
be a great king.
I think
Yes.
the Queen Mother, though, I don't think, you know, she's had a lot of years of life and a lot of experience. And how long was she married to Prince Philip for? Was it 50, 60 years or something like that?
No, I
That's
think
true.
almost 7 decades, I
Yes.
think.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, I lost a wife after 14 years, and that was like hectic.
Yeah.
And I can't imagine, you know, being married and going through 7 decades, and then, you know,
Losing
I think when she
someone.
goes to bed at night, the Queen, she's on her, you know, with her own mind, like, and I think that it's really, she's
But do you think-
So we've got some people talking here saying about, you know, talking about when we were saying about when people choose to die and things like that.
Okay, yeah.
My mother always said, pray for a good death. She
Yes.
died at 43, only sick for one day.
Oh,
Oh,
bless her.
Diane, which is
Bless
very
her.
sad, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because we're kind of talking about all sorts of things here today, guys.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
and
yeah.
we started off, if you're just coming in now, talking about can we choose the time of our death? And now we've moved on to Harry now.
I can certainly choose yours, Craig, if you want to.
Well, that's another thing.
We will help
happens
us
if-
along.
What if someone steps in and terminates a person early? You know, what karmic consequences does that have? If our time of death is set and someone changes that time of death by doing a murder, you know, was that already sort of foreseen? Was it part of destiny? Was it part of providence? Or was it as someone interfered, and can we do that? I mean, a lot of people like Hitler, and I think Putin's got the same sort of thing in his mind too, believes that because a bomb nearly hit him when he was in the trenches, and he thought, and he survived.
Who, Hitler or Putin?
In the First World War. And his quotations that you read about him says, Providence had selected him for a greater future, because he felt he'd been spared death. And again, when they tried to kill him with the bomb under the table towards the end of the war, again he felt Providence had protected. He talks about Providence.
Yeah.
And it makes you, do we all have a kind of a Providence? And is it
Yeah.
something special happens if you come close to death and are dragged back to this?
I think that, you know, we spoke about the Pope. No, I spoke about the Pope. You spoke about the map, and I think that past lives, like reincarnation. You know, we spoke about reincarnation. and we come back as soul groups. And we've been looking at our group as a reincarnation group, and we've kind of got a lot of evidence actually. I mean, it's about, you know, if people believe it or disbelieve, it's up to them, but for me personally, I'm absolutely convinced that we all come back in groups. And so our own interest in our own group involved us in researching other groups. And for instance, if you look, there's lots of evidence of reincarnation and people coming back into the same families, same groups coming together, like JFK and Abraham Lincoln. If you look, I know on the internet you've got to be careful of some of the things that's put on there because people can mess around with it. But I think it's pretty kind of like the person who assassinated Abraham Lincoln looks very much like the same person who assassinated JFK. And you've got all those, they were politicians, and these people
millions
were politicians.
well, not millions, but many.
And so, like, that's what I say, is,
civilizations.
my metaphor of it is like we come back, but we're on a certain boat heading in a certain direction, and we can only do things on that boat, and you can only go to certain places. Like, we are spiritual, our boat is a spiritual boat, they were politicians, their boat is a political boat, so they can only do things within that boat, and we can only do things within ours.
But again, it's a bit like the map, isn't it? You're saying there's like groups of people are sort of on the same boat, is where you're saying.
So the end is already predetermined because of the repeating of the, like Hitler, he saw.
But I think, don't some people also have sort of like a chosen destiny? I mean, there's the ordinary destiny, which I think most people have an ordinary destiny. But I think sometimes certain people are pulled out by providence, perhaps, or whatever it might be, to have a completely different life to the normal person. You know, I think when you're a medium, for example, I think with Jane and I's mediumship, it changes our destiny in a way that we cannot live like ordinary people. We could not go and do like an ordinary job in the same way, because we'd always be pulled back to have to perform that particular task.
That's why you're here for.
Yeah, and that's what our life purpose is. And perhaps, you know, it's like Phil was saying, Ozay saying that there's perhaps like also a providence for certain types of people, like politicians. You said, you know, that there's no way they're not going to follow that path to become a politician. Something's going to push them back into the path.
Personally, I think Boris Johnson.
Answer your questions, guys. Don't forget you can ask questions.
Sorry, sometimes we get a bit lost in our conversation.
People talking about the Queen doesn't think she's got very long. She
becomes very fragile.
Yeah, she has.
Yeah,
Well,
she
usually
said,
when you lose a spouse and get that kind of age within the next 3 years,
it's crucial.
that's if she can't get past the next 3 years without popping
Yeah,
off.
she's going to go this year. I've said that at the beginning in
me
2020.
too.
I've said in my predictions for that. I think she's going to go.
I think most of us.
I think she'll get
don't want
past
her
the
to.
Jubilee, but that's
We don't want
it.
And nobody wants her to go because she is loved dearly, isn't
Yeah.
she?
Yeah.
Yes.
Give us your questions, guys. Let's have some questions from you to steer us forward. Some of you have asked, can I ask a question? Well, yes, you can.
Yes, please.
Yes, yeah, so, you know, you've said, Natty, you've said, can I ask a question? Yes, you can.
Let's have it now.
Vikas is saying, hello to Awesome 4.
Hello.
I am all ears, I am not stingy. Will be your patron once again I land a job. I'm unemployed at the moment. How sorry to hear that.
Bless you.
Vikas. But, you know, you contribute, and we appreciate the contribution you make with your questions and things like that, because that helps us.
That's right.
So don't forget, ask your questions, and if you're new to us, go and become a patron in the description below on the YouTube video.
That's right. Yeah.
So where were we? I haven't got any more questions yet. I'll tell you. Here we are. So why are some people picked for a bigger destiny than others?
I don't think there is bigger and smaller destinies, because it's like a car. A car is no good with the smallest component. It's not about bigger, more important. That is what our mind does. Our mind thinks somebody who is the minister of a country has a bigger destiny. No. The smallest and what seems to be the least important job, the whole would not be the same without it.
Yeah, that's true. I think there's some destinies do have a marked effect upon the world that others don't. Like Hitler had as an example from earlier, has a huge effect on the destiny
What about
of the
the
world.
president of Ukraine? he should be world leader. He's very strong and powerful, isn't he?
Yeah, does he have a special destiny? Because I mean, certain
To help
times,
the people.
come the time, come the man.
But
they
he
say.
didn't set out to be the world leader, therefore he is not. But Hitler, he is, of course, very evil what he has done, but he could not have done what he is said to have done without the people beneath him.
Yeah, but there can be some. There's also the thought that there can be very great people in this world they're never heard of.
That's right.
There are great souls that are walking through this world who never get their moment in the spotlight. We don't get, as Andy Warhol said, our 15 minutes of fame. We don't.
No.
A lot of great men and women don't get their point on the stage, but then something happens sometimes, like something happens that gives a person an opportunity to suddenly take on a major role, like the Hitler's lot and all the rest of them there. Suddenly some people that were kind of nasty, small men suddenly had a chance of power over others. Same with TV, isn't it? You know, sometimes the most inappropriate people
Little
become our
man
heroes.
syndrome, I'd call it.
Yeah.
I got big man syndrome.
Have you?
I'm 5'7".
Yes.
Shall we test you, big boy?
No, I wouldn't. I don't.
Yeah.
Little man.
So-
No, my take on it is that I think the most important part of it is our own inner growth, and I think that because we're eternal, so our real situation is we're eternal souls,
Yes.
and this is just a game down here, and we create all our own destinies, and we create all our own stories and plays that we're gonna, and our own selves, we learn. We can take the position of Apollo. We was watching the Spencers, the film The Spencers last night, and you would say that the royal family is really important. They all got a high position in society, and I would say I would not want that life. I'm free and liberated where I am. And my soul growth is more important than anything else, any wealth, any powerful position, and it's what you do with it as well. Because one part of me would hate to be rich, because I know that if I didn't help humanity with my money, then I would be sinning badly.
It will corrupt you.
If I got more
Yeah.
money than what I need for myself with a roof over my, after that, and I got all that money, and then I'm watching people out in India or out in Africa or wherever, and they are dying of starvation, and I don't intervene in some way. then
Yeah,
I'm
but
sinning
spirituality
badly.
and money don't go
My
together
soul-
very well, do they?
Yeah.
Could you imagine Jesus with billions in the bank? Or could you imagine Gandhi in a Christian Dior dopey or whatever they call
Yeah.
it? There's often a conflict between material things and spirituality. But I think we have to find. I don't believe in rejection of the world and poverty, and I don't believe in indulgence in the world like so many want, and both are a mistake. I think everybody has somehow got to find a middle way between the two, a compromise, a compromise between the two, so that we can
But in the
find our
in
way.
the Western world, we're all taught to be rich. We have to make lots of money. So we are like 3/4 too extreme.
Yeah.
And instead of taking the middle way, like I said, what do we need? We need food, we need money, we need a roof, we need warmth. And
And
after
love.
that,
Yeah.
yeah.
But could I say
I'm going to
one more?
bring in one of the
One
people
more
talking
thing
here.
about the destiny, because we haven't clarified what destiny means, because lots of people think our destiny lies outside of ourselves. But I think the destiny of human beings is to become the best human being you can be in any
Absolutely.
given situation.
Absolutely.
And I think that is our destiny, and we get lost into what society imprints on.
Yes.
This is really worthy and that is not worthy. So
Let's let some of our people in now.
Sorry,
because they're saying,
sorry.
I have the impression that key points in our lives have multiple choice options with multiple choice destinies, like those multiple choice storybooks, says Jason. Our free will determines what choice we make.
yeah.
This is a bit like the multiverse idea.
Yeah, but what I think is that we are already preordained our choices. We think we got 1 million choices of career, right? But we'll look at one only, and we'll look at 2 or 3.
Yeah.
And that's something. It's like twins. They found twins who were born. They didn't know about each other, and both twins were firemen. both twins have the same kind of wives who were twins.
And named the children the same.
So a shared genetics and a shared destiny.
And what makes genetics?
Perhaps the genetics are a reflection of something else.
Yeah.
You know, the genetics we think determine our lives, but perhaps that's that spirit that determines the genetics.
Yeah.
There's something behind it.
Because
what do you think, Jane? You've not said much.
I'm just listening to you. I'd like to see the questions.
Yeah, well, I'll put them up. I've got another question up for
You're
you.
keeping it all to yourself.
Have the four of you. No, I'm doing the control room here, Jane. No, we've lost it now.
he tries to
We've
please you
frozen.
and messes
No,
it
we've
up.
frozen. I don't know if it's still on.
But that's all
online
right.
now.
But
I think we lost it.
when it comes to destiny, because like you said with the twins, even if they grow up in different environments, which some people say is very important for a child, they still turn out exactly the same.
They do.
They dress the same, they think the same, they have the same taste. Some are even married, like you said, the same.
Hi, we're back. Thanks for
Okay.
joining us. We're getting some questions there about destiny. Sorry, we've got a bad internet connection here today, so we lost the direction there. Christina's saying, have the four of you shared a past life together?
Yes, yes. There is
We
a program
disagree with
coming
what
up.
we think it might be,
Yes.
but
Yeah.
we do we think we have.
We all know who we have been, only Craig refuses to take his one of the last life, but
He
Ozay
doesn't
and
refuse it, he just, no, you're all there.
okay, but Ozay and Craig have been together many
I
lives.
believe we were together in Rome.
Yeah, and Jane and I have been together many lives. Yeah, that's how it works, and we are in the making of a documentary about reincarnated group, and we.
Explain to them who we were.
Unfortunately, we've lost the connection again.
Oh
It's you,
no!
No, we've got no connection. I think we need to be closer to the router, perhaps.
Shall I walk over there?
I'm just going to see if I can get
Okay.
anything from it.
So we are not streaming at the moment?
No.
Oh, that is too bad. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah, it's moving
It's
again.
moving again.
Sorry guys, we keep losing the connection with the internet.
Did
Yeah.
you explain what we were in the past life?
Yep, we're back
Yeah,
again.
okay.
No, something went wrong, right? Try again.
It's you.
It's interesting, isn't it,
Yeah.
how it works?
Yeah, this is
I'm trying to
nice.
kick you off, Jane, because you...
Are we on?
Yeah.
We have a little bit of technical. Yeah, look, there is a lady. Hello.
Hello.
Oh. Who
Because
is this?
That's not a lady, that's a man.
Who is this lady, Craig? Can't hear it.
Oh, she's...
there. It's
What
okay.
happened there? Did somebody come up?
Yeah, it was
You
a
did that.
dual screen. You could
Oh, that
see.
was me. That was
Yeah.
mine. That wasn't a lady. That was
Oh, you
me.
look like a bloody
That was the other camera. That was the camera from the
That's a lady, I thought that was
No, I think we're
It's a
back
lady,
again.
it's a lady.
You probably got a bit of a blip there, and we
Sorry.
might get more again because we're getting a bit of. Who's that lady? Wow, she must be pretty old.
You shouldn't wear those high heels,
Yeah.
Craig. It's really
Yeah, well.
confusing.
It's that
So
scarf
we are
that does
connected.
it.
So I think you are seeing us, guys. Yeah, keep. Yes, we are. I think we're back on again.
Oh.
So you must have missed a whole chunk there. Actually, we were talking about past lives and things like
Yeah,
that,
I'm gonna
and we've been
explain.
talking about destiny.
Yeah, but I think that some people actually are not meant to know, because by knowing, if they were, say, famous people in the past, then they go and check historical records, and they come up to something where they made a bad choice in their last life, and then they come up to that same thing again, and they know what choice to make, so they don't learn nothing from knowing, having the pre-knowledge of it. And therefore I think that when you have something that's important to learn with karma, and the test is going to come, that some people must not know that about that, so they are not meant to know about their past life up till after they've taken the test and hopefully passed it in the right way.
How
That's what I
how
think.
did
I
you
think-
remember your past lives?
Well, I think the most proof I've had is from when I've done the nadis, because they gave me such accurate
Oh,
information.
that is really late in your life. then.
Yes,
Yeah,
and
quite
also
late.
I've also a lot of proof from holy men when Sharavanas and people have spoken to me.
Mm.
Also through my mediumistic work, through many messages through mediums.
Okay.
But then, of course, one's own intuition has to come in.
Yeah.
I certainly had very strong feelings as a child about what the past lives were.
Yeah.
And some of the most interesting ones are from dreams, but and particularly recurring dreams, that come back time and time again, but places I know. And I've even drawn maps of it. As a child, I drew maps of the places I knew from a former life.
Yeah.
And I can still remember it to this day.
I thought you said you felt you was German in the submarine.
No, that was other people saying.
No, you
Weird.
said that.
No.
We have a
Wasn't.
grandchild who is always talking about a former life
Yeah,
for
yeah,
6-year-olds.
yeah.
Ever since
Yeah,
he was able to speak, he
Yes.
says, I was so and so, and my name
Yeah.
was this, and I had a brother, and my mommy and daddy, and we asked, what was the name of your mommy and daddy? Mommy and daddy. So that is logic. She doesn't know the names.
And
That's-
hypnotic regression, of course, that's another one.
And,
Hypnotic
And
regression
you
as well.
do you remember past
Well, I
lives?
do. Sometimes you meet people and you think, I know that person from the past, because
Yeah.
you get in the solar plexus here,
Yeah.
you get that energy,
That's
that you
what I
feel
get,
that
that is.
person.
Yeah.
Because when I met you, I thought I knew you, and I saw you as a medicine woman, very wise, with knowledge. And I also saw you as a Russian princess too, for some reason. And our energies connected. It's like, I knew you from many lives.
Yes.
Many lives.
Yeah.
And you always felt to me like my protector, very much so. And, and through all your suffering, because you've suffered a lot with your health, you've always had compassion in your heart and love to reach out to others. And the same for Phil here, where I feel that you two are definitely soulmates from a past life.
Yes.
You balance each other and work well together.
Mm.
And funny enough, you recognised me as Jean Bassett, was it?
Yeah.
And she was in India, and I've always had a thing about India and spirituality and things like that. And I think that was the connection as well, and it felt very, very strong. And also with Phil, I recognised him as well, because he grew a moustache once, and I knew exactly who it was because I felt that very strong. And that, because Phil always speaks from the heart, doesn't he? And he's very knowledgeable, and that, and it comes from within.
They
And
used
this-
to be alike.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because we like speaking from the
Domenico
heart.
is saying, yeah.
And the thing is, I feel that you have certain people that come into your life, certain people that go out of your life, and it's all test while we're here. But the stronger you become when you're older, wisdom comes in, and you acknowledge that through each other.
Yeah.
I think you also remember parts of your past lives through different stages in your own life. So certain past lives would have had more influence on me when I was a child to what I'm having now, for
yeah.
example. Now, I personally, I think the strongest ones that are influencing me now from the age of, say, 50 onwards, I think, have been my Indian past lives.
That's why you're so drawn.
And
to
that's why
India.
I'm so drawn to India, because I really did have a very. I know I can remember India. I can remember it. I can remember the places. It was very different to what the world of India is like now. I can remember that it was more of a Mediterranean type of climate there too. I remember in India.
Different climate.
It was a different climate, and we're high up. And I remember we used to sit under the certain trees had certain powers too. So it's going back quite early in
Yes,
India,
yes.
I think. And I think our connection goes back into when I met you, going back when I was still doing spiritualism. There may have been a connection there from those times.
Yeah.
You know, some of the earlier lives, and because time's different on the other side. Because time's different with this. Your most important lives may have even happened further back in history to more recently in history.
Yeah. Well, we looked into ours, and Bianca, I picked it up, like you said, that she was a priestess,
Yes.
and she's pretty powerful medicine woman, like you said, and but I couldn't pick up who she was in her last life. And then when we were doing the research on our group, we found her, didn't we?
Yes.
Only she wouldn't have her; she was a he, and
I used to work with
and-
Craig.
and the proof was in the way they looked. The first thing you see is the way they look, and you say, whoa. And a lot of our group got similarities, and Korea, identical kind of careers, identical interests like in India.
Yeah.
And so when you put all those things together, if you pull somebody randomly off the street and you put those two people together and say, right, what have they got in relation? Quite often those people won't have anything in common at
Yes.
all if it's just random. But if you've got a group of people and then another group of people from the past, and you say,
And you find proof of
and then you put them
yeah.
together, and then you say that person's got the same as that person, that the same as, and that one, and that one, and that one. When that happens, the whole statistics, probability, is just through the ceiling. It can't happen.
Yeah.
And it's the same as media.
The danger is with that, though, is one can be very selective sometimes. People often get very selective.
No, but you recognize it.
facts.
You can't be. You don't recognize the one that we say. We think Craig was Orage, and he was a book publisher, and he was involved in art. When I saw the picture of the person I recognized it straight away. I said, that was me. Look. And I was researching for the documentary we are making about reincarnation. I recognized it straight away. And then I read that you and I in our formulas worked together, made a magazine really successful.
Magazine.
What did I study and just graduated from? Writing.
Exactly the same.
But there are different things that we do again, but we can also reincarnate completely opposite to what we used to be.
Yeah. Like a daughter instead of a wife or
Yes.
a
I think we still
father.
got a connection. Let us know if we still got a connection, guys. Give us a comment of some sort. I haven't seen a comment for a while. So we had Jason saying, interesting, I read an example of someone who incarnated as psychic to make up for his past life as a concentration camp guard. He chose to make up for it in this incarnation by helping others.
That's a good thing.
So perhaps
to
you
help
do
others.
have to work your karma out from previous
Yeah,
lives.
karma.
If you
I do
do.
think
Yeah,
that's true. Actually.
definitely.
I believe I was in Rome. I believe you were in Rome.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
he
I
knows
believe-
he was in
and
And
Rome.
I believe I ripped people off really bad in Rome.
That's why you've never had any luck in this life with
No,
money.
he knows you are
Yeah,
really
yeah,
bad.
Yeah, I was a real bad ass.
Yes, and also what is really interesting, for example, not that he doesn't like dogs, Craig, but he always makes funny remarks about how he doesn't like dogs, which is not totally true. But you remember him being torn apart by wild
Well,
dogs.
I've often quoted that. I believe me and Jane had a dream which we were being chased from behind, and we were attacked from behind and hit by knives from behind, from the
Yeah,
back of my neck.
arrows.
I had
It's
a
a
cut to the
guillotine.
back of my head. Not guillotines, but there was dogs. There was dogs there.
And he
it was
also has a real strong memory of you and two on a slave ship, and they tried to
Oh.
escape. And what did they do? They broke their ankles. And
Yeah.
you still have really
Weak ankles.
weak ankles. The most you will
No,
go
I can
over.
agree with that too, because I've had that same. We've
Yeah.
spoken
Yeah.
about this before.
Yeah.
Didn't, when we met
It was frozen again, but
Sharavana,
we'll keep going anyway.
when we met Sharavana Baba, the first thing he said to me, you and I were together in previous life. We played together as children, and I said, well, you owe me some money from the previous life. Payback time, and he just laughed at
I
me.
would break his legs for saying that. My wife Craig.
I think we still got a transmission. Let us have a comment, somebody, so we know we're still live. Are you still hearing what I've just said?
Is there anybody there?
Everybody, I think.
We've got very bad connection today.
It will be so
Yeah.
sad if it isn't.
But in parts of it, you'll probably
but we-
find it will jump.
we
You'll
learn
get something
from
that'll
it.
jump.
We learn from it anyway, isn't it?
Well, we've got a new
So
kit.
it is-
Yes.
Look at this jumping
Yeah,
again.
there's somebody there.
Yes, we got someone say, oh my gosh, two of my past, hang on, I'll put it up on the screen, so people can see it, if we can get it up there. Oh my gosh, two of my past life experiences involve being eaten by dogs, and another I was on a ship, says
Oh,
Christine Louise.
wow.
Who's that? Christine Louise.
Christine Louise,
Oh,
yeah.
maybe you was with
That's
them.
part of our circle.
Oh,
Yeah.
these are coming in from Facebook at the moment.
Amazing. Did you say Domenico was there? Domenico.
No, so we need Domenico.
Oh,
Yeah,
Domenico.
unfortunately he's at work today. Jason again saying, well, at least you're not the only one who did bad things in your previous incarnation. I was a mercenary in one of mine.
Wow.
I think we do good and bad in them. It's
course.
interesting to see how they develop over. I mean, they may not be in a normal stream of time like we know it here either, because, like I say, it may be. Maybe we've had some incarnations for thousands of years ago that occurred after incarnations we've had hundreds of years ago. See what I mean? It's like the time the soul has jumped back
It's a bit of a
forward
funny
in
one
time.
to talk about.
It's a better jump, yeah.
You know, because when you're out of body, or you can even go into enlightenment,
Yes, you can,
time
yes.
stops. So can you pop forward into the future? Can you pop back into the past.
Yeah.
But all those possibilities is time is non-existent.
That's what I said. Here we're in
Yes.
linear time.
Mm.
On the other side, we're in a
Time's
different
nothing.
level of time. And if we live in multiverses, there might be multiple versions of Rome. There might be multiple versions of India. There might be multiple versions of this moment now.
Yes.
And it might be that might explain why so many people can remember past lives. That there's more people alive on Earth at the moment than there's ever lived in the whole of human history.
Well, as far as we remember, I
As far as
always
we
say
know.
that, as far as we remember.
But most people don't recall. Oh, I remember the times way before normal history. Thousands of people recall lives when they were Henry VIII. Thousands of people recall lives
You
when they
saying
were.
I'm lying or something?
Yeah, but people recall multiple lives. It's very often wrongly, because often it's fantasy, but often I believe I was in France, revolutionary France, or I believe I was in Rome, or I believe I was this. Not enough people, there's too many people. We could never have filled those spaces.
But
Yeah,
most
but
people
I'm
don't
on the-
So
remember.
it could be a multiverse. That's what I'm saying.
What's happening to all the creatures on this planet? A lot of them are going extinct, right? And so the Buddhists believe, I don't like beliefs, right? I prefer my own memories. And the Buddhists believe, but I'll say Buddhist belief, because for people out there who's listening, they won't all know, so therefore it'll be a belief, or they'll research it and find out for themselves. And I think you can do that. But the Buddhists believe that you start off as an insect and then you progress through the animal kingdom, and then you pick up all these conglomerate of animal traits, and then you come into a human body one day.
And the Greeks believed exactly the
design.
same. They called it metempsychosis.
So if the animals are going extinct,
Yeah, the Chinese too.
the animals are going extinct, and we're getting a bigger human population, is because the animals are becoming human beings.
That's another
And
possible.
That's an
possibility.
interesting way of looking at
That's
it.
another possible
Yeah.
explanation.
Yeah.
Another explanation is that we live in multiple planets.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Because
Yeah.
that's the other. So you can be multiverses, multiple planets, multiple people coming up through different.
And it doesn't necessarily has to be one of them, it could be all in
Could
existence,
be.
isn't it? And you said a long time ago, you mentioned that our biggest desire that we hold at the time of our life or at time of death, that will influence your
Incarnation.
And someone's
Yes.
come in here, Christina's come in to say, I've read recently that your soul can split
yes.
and you can
Yeah.
have different lives at the same time.
That's right.
Yeah.
Do you think this is possible?
Yes.
Again, we
Yes.
don't know, because
No.
all of these are potential theories. Of
No,
what it
no,
could
I
be.
know.
no,
I'm
some
convinced.
people have memories, Craig.
Mm.
I'm
Yes.
convinced that,
Yeah.
for instance, we were talking about psychometry, right? And let's talk about ego, taking the same place as psychometry, right? So my soul comes back, it reincarnates into a new body, but I develop an ego on top of the soul. And the ego becomes a spirit after death. All the personalities stay as a conglomerate. And if the person or the ego has reached higher states of understanding, then that spirit becomes a soul. It transgresses from the one to the other. And then you have two souls. So if this soul came from Henry VIII, and this soul reincarnated into something else, then this soul that split off from that will become someone else, and they'll have the same memories.
Yeah.
And the Buddhists actually...
This is the-
Yeah,
I've
so
got-
Christine, there's a little bit of difference what we think, but yeah.
Yeah, the Indian system, well, some of because multiple, we would say India, there's multiple, just as many, it's split in many different philosophical ideas. But one of the ideas is that the self as such does not survive death, some say. But what happens is the self splits after death into multiple parts, and the essences of that are reborn.
Yeah.
So, for example, Sharavana, for example, says he doesn't claim to be Sai Baba, but he has the essence of Sai Baba working through him. There's others that have reincarnated, claim to be Yogananda out there, 2 or 3, but they all have the essence of that past master working through them.
Yeah.
So, in some respects, there's a because they don't value the
It
sense of identity.
It sounds like identity theft to me.
Yes, that's what I was going to say. The difference attitude towards identity.
So
It's very
people
different.
have a problem with mediumship, bringing mediumship together with reincarnation. And the answer is that if we do split up, and a medium gets in touch with somebody who's been reincarnated, and I think you go into the no time zone as well. And so you are actually going into the past although that same person that you're talking to could be, you know, in a new body sort of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, so we can never really know, I don't think, and I don't know we can ever.
Well, we can't scientifically prove it.
But one thing we can prove, though,
ourselves.
mediumship, what
Yes.
Jane and I do with mediumship, I think does prove that something survives death and the personality survives death. Now, if that's the case, then these theories about breaking into essences and coming back in different essences is disproved, because it shows that because it's this idea, can the jiva, the individual self, survive external to the atma, which is like the existence of all existence. So I think what we do with our mediumistic work is prove the jiva. We prove that it has its own ground. It can exist. Because Buddha says the self is empty of inherent existence. That you look for the self, you will never see it. It's gone. There's no self. The more you look, it's not there. Maybe, but that's a sword that cuts but can't cut itself.
But you should know thyself, surely.
So what's this that goes into this ring? Psychometry. What's that?
The psychometry
Energy.
is what we rubbed off, something that's rubbed off, some of our
Yeah,
essence
but
is
that's
rubbed off.
interesting. And how can we create a tulpa? And how can Alistair Crowley create demons, call up demons?
Yeah, I think we can create
And he
forms.
used those demons that he called up from wherever and as his slaves. So he would invoke those energies himself.
But they're not self-aware.
We are all creators.
And how many
They're
people are
motivated.
self-aware?
Oh yeah, but I think we can create thought forms, because if you send a nasty thought to someone, that's a thought form, you can feel it from a distance. Send a healing thought to someone, that's also a thought form.
And it works.
So obviously thought can exist outside of the self,
That's right.
outside of the body, and it can manifest in strong force, like when something makes an object move, it has force, it has power even on the material world. But it's come from this entity, whatever I am, that has a self-awareness type of thing. The thought form itself may only have a limited amount of kind of self-awareness that's been put on it by me, as it were. And I think maybe it creates a soul that could go on and grow, but it's a primitive form of consciousness.
You can't move anything unless you're doing psychokinesis, can you?
No, psychokinesis is named for moving objects
Yeah,
of the
but
mind.
that's what I'm saying, it moves.
Yeah.
I have experience with that every thought we think is not our own. It's already thought before.
Yeah.
It just comes through us.
Yes,
And what is it comes from?
yes.
And I think that's universal consciousness. That
Yes.
contains
I'm sure
everything.
you're right.
So, yet you saying a thought has power, absolutely true, because Ozay does distant healing, and we have proof that it works.
Yeah.
For myself, I remember, to come back about previous lives, I remember taking this life. I absolutely have the memory before I took this life. So what is it that remembers?
Interesting you said about... Sorry, go on.
No,
Yeah.
seriously, I was
Interesting the thoughts you said about the thoughts seem to come from the outside, that they're not your own.
Yes.
I think that's interesting because certainly that happens in mediumship.
Everything I say is interesting.
But thoughts come from the outside that are not your own, and we're going to have to stop in a moment. This comes in mediumship. Also, primitive societies who have not developed, they reckon that early man used to think like that thoughts, because they hadn't developed a sense of self much, the power of the I was not very strong in the early days, like it might be in some animals and things like they don't have the strong sense of I. The sense of I developed later in evolution, they reckon, and early man would have thought that thoughts aren't my own, but they come from outside. That's why there's such an obsession that everything is spirits, everything's a curse, everything's doing this, because they don't have the sense of control in the self, and it means that the thoughts are not your own. Same thing happens often if there's a breakdown of the self, and a person has a breakdown or is in a schizophrenic state. Their thoughts and their self, their sense of I, are separate, and you end up in quite a confused situation.
Advaita comes up with a suggestion that if you ask yourself the question, who am I? And then you search inside, I know this, I know that, there's nothing there. And then if I go up to that Advaita guy who keeps arguing with me that there's no me to answer you back, there's no me, and then I go up to him, Michael, and I say, I give him a kick up the bum. We spoke about this actually. And it's like a thought. And what is the I that just got hurt by being booted up the bum? And that's where the I started from. Because we are individual bodies, we had to develop something to protect the body. We had to call it an I.
Yeah.
But outside of that, there's no I. Everything that comes from the mind. But if I kick you up the ass, you certainly
soon know.
And you have to protect
The
that
I, yeah.
the body of the I, in order to survive.
See, that, I thought about that Avita too, because one of the things that I'm not, where's the self of that, who am I, is I'm not this. I'm not the thought, I'm not the feeling, I'm not the body, I'm not this, I'm not, it's a denial. Okay, that's how it works.
Yeah,
how, but
and you can't have a debate with them.
But you can't have a debate because you can't answer that, because I'm not it, I'm not it, I'm not it. What they should be saying is I am not this, I am not only this. Now if you change that, and it's I am not only this body, I am not only this thought, I am not only this emotion, I am not only this self, you know?
Yeah, but the people
Then
who
you
say,
get to the answer.
the people who say in conversations with Ozay, but what is it, the I? Those people have no clue what they're talking
No,
about.
but-
They have just read
And
something,
yeah.
they can't contribute to the conversation, so they try to be smart. It's just showing where people are in their development. They are not smarter or more underdeveloped than other people, but that is where they are at that moment, isn't
But
it?
as soon as you say I about something, I think people have to meditate on this one. And that is, as soon as you say I am, that's straight from there you're going to be a liar, because you're not. And that's the truth, because when you do go, the Advaitas are right about something there, and that is when you go inside into the silence, I mean,
Well,
It's-
I
it's
am is a
nothing there.
thought.
I
I am is a thought.
Yeah,
So as soon
I
as you have
am
it with a
mind.
thought, you've
Yeah.
obviously separated yourself from the state of pure
But
being.
even
Yeah,
that is a
right.
concept.
Yeah.
Even that is a
Anyway, I think we
concept.
better finish now, and I see that we're beginning to freeze up again. So
Oh,
hopefully
no.
you guys got a large part of that. I see sort of questions coming up now that we could have answered, but unfortunately, I think we better sort of stop soon.
Yeah, next time
And
we have to
We've got this
try
one anyway.
another.
We've lost it anyway.
And next time we just have to do
we
use.
can just see if I can get in to say goodbye.
Yeah, it's the first time, so.
These lights are draining me a bit.
Oh, bless you.
Yeah.
Yeah, you.
Okay, I think we're done.
I can
anyway.
sense it.
Yeah.
So just let's say
Yeah,
goodbye, just
to
in
see if we can
case,
get in.
isn't it?
I'm going to try to get into the studio. I think they might still be seeing us. We
There's
probably
something
have that
going on.
funny woman
No,
come
that
up
is what
again.
the
That's
lady
a
is.
woman again.
Here's the lady.
Yeah, she's born
Here's
again.
gone, removed from the stream.
Oh,
If it was a
fantastic.
tortoise, it wasn't a lady. And there we are. Hopefully, we're back to be able to say goodbye.
Yeah.
So we had a few
Technical.
problems there.
Yeah.
But let's say goodbye.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
how do you-
see you-
bye.
Thank
bye
you.
for now.
Ciao.
Hopefully, we're able to say goodbye.
See you soon.
I'm finding these lights
Not quite.
draining me a bit.
Oh, bless you.
Nearly finished. Done. No.
Right, turn the other lights on.
Good
Turn
boy.
this on.
Yeah, die wil psychological industry.
Close this dead on.
We are going now.